Alrighty, good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you're at, whoever's here with us right now. Welcome to the weekly edition of the 710 cast. We're back after a short break last week where we just had some technical difficulties, but we're back with you this week. And with me, as always, is the intrepid Fox pair, where we have Fox number one, which is going to be Tamarack.
Hello.
And then always bringing the thunder from down under is going to be Fox number two, Kaji.
Yeah, hello.
Yes. So tonight is going to be a pretty standard format. Last week we had a little bit of fun. This time around we're doing that yet again. So we're going to hit a little bit of news, something we can kind of ruminate over and talk about and do some things with. Then we're going to move on to our special for the day, which is going to be movie cars, or just in general cars from media, our hero cars, things we've seen on screen that we admire and love for whatever various amount of reasons that we're going to tell you all about. So, first up and first off, any updates from you guys from the previous 2 weeks now about any of the projects that are rumbling around about our various garages?
Go ahead, Kaji. You did quite a bit of work recently, I saw.
Yes.
I did a few things, yes. I got the Hyosung, which is my little 250cc yellow motorcycle. Got the carburetors off. Did a full rebuild on those. Well, nearly full. I didn't replace the vacuum chambers that control the essentially chokes. They've got like an internal vacuum controlled choke. I didn't have to replace those. They're operating fine. So I bought a rebuild kit without those and just built everything else out. The little Piaggio scooter I've got, well, Piaggio in China, mine's a Aprilia. That got a new manifold on the way. That's essentially like a little rubber tube that holds the carburetor on. I've cleaned the main and idle jets. I've fixed the exhaust. Removed what they call the exhaust dick. Not my word. Which is a little tube that comes off the exhaust, which basically reduces the amount of effect from the expansion chamber. I've removed that, replaced it with a small piece of straight pipe, so that now the expansion chamber can do its job properly, which should help things. Cleared out the mixer because it was a little bit woogly looking, but other than that, yeah, that's a couple of cheap parts away from running reliably. Oh, and it'll get some higher performance reed valves because there's a reed valve kit available which doesn't have a splitter down the middle and it's just two big old reed valves, perfectly suited to the purpose. I've also got some parts together for the Mustang, which I'll be working on next week.
Oh, that's right. That's coming up quick.
Oh, yeah. Going 15,000 kilometers just to work on a car. Again.
It's not the first, nor will be the last time for you.
Oh, no.
Moving on over, any updates for you, Tam?
The Triumph is still broken and still in the shop.
Aww.
As it's about to be like a high of 44 degrees a couple of days this week, so riding season is firmly coming to a close.
Yeah, it's getting to about that point where if you wanted to ride, you would need to be sticking your... And I know this because I have done this myself. When you want to extend that riding season just a little bit, it's like, I can layer a little bit, but the hands will still get cold. At every stoplight, you just reach down and put them right on the engine block, and it just warms them right up.
That would be 6 degrees Celsius for those of us not in the U.S. that use a proper system of measurement.
Yes, the imperial system of measurement, the one that makes sense.
Okay, if you insist.
Yeah,
I mean, it's better than what we do.
You said the imperial system. I was like, all right, if that's the one that makes sense.
I don't know.
The coldest weather I've ridden through was minus 12 Celsius, which was no fun.
No.
And it was really not fun because I was in summer gear. I was expecting it not to be all that bad. When I left Bendigo, it was about 6 or 7 degrees Celsius, which isn't too bad. You can live with that as long as your jacket's okay. And I had a liner in the jacket, but everything else was summer gear. You know, summer gloves, denims. I only had short boots, and wool socks. And yeah, I got to that patch where it was -12, and it was like, I regret everything.
For our stateside viewers, that's 10 degrees.
Yeah, that was not fun. The worst part was it was moonlight, so I could see the little patches of black ice ready to murder me.
It's even more frightening. It's just like, oh, well, that's a little bit of death I just swerved past.
Yeah, pretty much. I got to there's a petrol station. There's 2 petrol stations side by side called Calder Inbound and Calder Outbound on the outskirts of Melbourne. One of them was closed for the evening, essentially. Like, the petrol part was open, but everything else was shut. So I looped around to go to Calder Outbound so that I could go to McDonald's and get a coffee. And took my boots off, stuck them on the end of my exhausts, and left my bike running.
Oh, no.
It's actually not a terrible idea.
It was really funny. The security guard came around and said, "Is that your bike?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, you're not allowed to leave it outside running." And I just looked at him, and I said, "Look at the exhausts." He's like, "Oh, are they your boots?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I'll let you go this time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure you will."
It's cold. You have better things to do than harass me. Go away.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm even paying for a coffee, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah, really.
I'm not just loitering. Anyway.
Well, I unfortunately
and that's
have
this week's edition of Winter Motorcycling Survival Tips.
Yeah, boots on exhaust. Who'd have thunk?
Buy some Oxford heated grips. You won't regret it.
Or just go for some Motorrad, as it comes with them automatically.
Yes, but if you buy some Motorrad, you will not be able to afford your mortgage.
That's, I mean, you're not wrong.
That.
Yes, I would like to pay 25 grand for this bike. Well, congratulations. We have the perfect one for you.
Meanwhile, if you're an American, please consider a Harley Pan America and help them to make bikes that aren't for boomers.
I mean, I can agree with you on that point, but I still fight with myself on the styling of that thing. I can't do it.
I love that headlight because that is like 1970s futuristic train bullshit, and I am here for it.
Yeah.
That popping sound you just heard was a can of worms opening.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not too mad at it. I guess.
A topic for a future show: motorcycle styling.
It would be really
you'll do
cool
right.
if you did it like a Mad Max style. Right? I could get behind that if the Pan America was styled Mad Max-esque. It has the looks for it.
Flamethrower exhausts.
I was going to put that on a bike no matter what, but sure.
Fair enough.
But with that being said, we are getting, as we always do, I mean, I swear we need to rename this podcast just Off the Rails. But we are. So getting into a little bit of news before we get into the fun portions of our segments here. We're going to look at something that I found, and maybe if we have a little bit of time, if we don't ruminate on this atrocity too much, we can move on to another news article that was dug up. But to start us off, California's doing things again. And this time, they've gone and decided that digital license plates could be an option, not necessarily a standard, but it is an option for anybody who does want one. Thoughts?
My first question, without even reading the article, is what powers them? What do you do when your license plate runs out of batteries?
I can answer that if you like.
Go for it.
Please do.
Okay, you can either pay $495 for someone to tap it into your 12-volt system, or you replace the battery approximately every year because it's an e-ink display and doesn't require much battery.
They actually are saying that their numbers are saying Fiverr claims a 5-year battery life.
I don't believe it for a minute.
But again, yeah, it's get tested in the field in conditions, especially in California. If you get up north into like San Francisco, Carlsbad, some of those where it actually gets decently cold, that may lessen that life.
Not to mention, the hotter it gets, the more power an e-ink display refresh needs.
But on the side of not being devil's advocate, Kaji, it is kind of cool. They do have some cool ideas and some cool integrations for it in the future, such as the fact that, one, it has a day and night mode, so it's not always going to be blindingly bright at night, and it won't always be super dark during the day. It will adjust so that you're not blinding the people behind you with extra lights. They're also looking at doing integrations with DMV, so in case you ever update it, there's no more stickers, there's nothing like that. Your e-plate just kind of picks up like, oh, this is the information from the DMV, this has been updated, I can change the year on my little sticker ticker thing on the side.
This also, once again, strikes me as an answer to a question that no one was asking.
Not arguing that, but...
Like, okay, it has a day and night mode. So does the car. It's called tag lights.
That's 100% fair. It's fixing a problem that nobody necessarily had, but it's a gimmick that, you know what, if you want to buy it and you have the money to do it, I mean, go for it. You're not going to hurt anybody, and it's not illegal to do so. But there are also some other integrations that might kind of sort of be worth it for people, especially in California where there are toll roads. In places like here in Chicagoland area in Illinois, where we have a big toll road all throughout the Northeast, Florida, anywhere that has a toll road, they're talking about possible integrations between the tag itself and whatever tollway system. So you would no longer need your extra block in the windshield of your car either. But again, small conveniences that add up to who asked.
I love East Coast rental cars and how they come with like 8 gadgets on the windscreen.
Because you need them.
What gets me though is in Australia, our toll roads just decided between each other, okay, this is the standard we're going to use, and I need one thing in my windscreen, and I need to pay one body.
More recently in the U.S., Easy Pass has integrated with iPass, Pike Pass.
Yeah, like I can use my pass throughout most of the Northeast if I wanted to.
What you want?
Yeah, you can. If you have an Easy Pass, you can use it almost anywhere.
Now that makes a lot of sense.
More than it used to.
That has changed since the last time you were here in the before times.
In the long ago.
I was here, but I've been over there since the before times. I just didn't rent a car.
Oh, well, my point stands.
I did, however, drive a 4Runner in, what was it, May and June of this year that got about 8 miles to the gallon on the freeway.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. As a 4Runner owner, yeah, sounds about right.
This one had mudders on it as well, so
that'll do a lot too. I have the most aggressive all seasons that they had in stock, which were Lao Fan, which not great, but they've been performing really well. But even still, I think my average right now is about 18, 19 miles to the gallon, and I'm mostly city with the occasional little bit of highway.
I miss the old desert jewelers that you used to be able to get, but you can't get them anymore. The all-season style. Mm-hmm. Those were really good.
I just had a thought about the digital license plates, and I kind of like it now.
Yeah, sure.
The dirtbag people who run around on expired or stolen tags, if they could just pop up as expired as soon as they expire, or stolen as soon as they're reported stolen.
It's true.
Would get a lot of dirtbags off the roads.
Yes, that's actually one of the things that our shop dog mentioned earlier as we were doing a little bit of pregame discussion of the fact that some people, especially in today's age with the stickers that we do have, people will steal date stickers off of other people's tags. This would entirely prevent that. Of course, then Kaji rolls in with the superiority of Australia and says, oh yeah, we don't have stickers at all. They just look up the rego and it tells them, which cops do anyways if they're going to stop somebody. So
a nice bonus of that too is if you find a car on the street, you can see if it's been reported stolen as well. You can just do that as a civilian, that is.
Yeah, my previous home state of Connecticut, for a while they had plate stickers, and then they moved away from that, and then they went to a registration sticker that went on the inside of the glass of your windshield, which was also your smog sticker. And then they decided, no, we're not going to do that anymore, and now everything's just digital. No stickers, no nothing.
I mean, that's kind of the way to go, I think. These are a neat gimmick. I don't see them being something that really catches on for a ton of time. I don't see the point of it that much. So that said, I think we've covered that pretty well. Do you guys want to talk about the other article we have today?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's go on and go for it.
We missed a week. We're allowed to go over tonight a little bit.
Yeah, why not? So this is something that Kaji, you spearheaded and forwarded to us. So tell us about it.
Righto. So this is a project by the people that made chunks of your motherboard if you're a 90s kid, probably made the iPhone if you're an iPhone aficionado, and are responsible for generally a lot of components inside computers if you go looking for logos. Foxconn. You might have been aware they bought a factory in the United States during the Trump era because of political bullshit, essentially. They ended up not really using it to manufacture anything until they got approached by a company who wanted them to build a pickup for them. So they organized to start to do that, and they'll be building about 50 of those, but they're looking at building their own cars. They'll be called Foxtrons.
And let me actually get the proper pictures for these out so I can kind of put them up on the main screen. I think it's quite a handsome looking little thing, personally.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Well, no surprise if you read that little subtitle, styled by Pininfarina.
Well, we'll absolutely do it. Pininfarina has been in the game for a very long time, and they make some very, very pretty cars.
And some awesome looking Coke machines.
I was about to say, and some interesting soft drink fountains.
I mean, hey man, when somebody's paying you, you don't ask too much about it. You design the thing and you take the cash.
Honestly, though, they designed the UI for those as well, so the fact that they work as well as they do is all down to the Italians.
A little bit scary, but you know what? We'll go with it. But at least it's not. Electrics by British, which famously not. Yeah, the laughing says it all.
Can confirm.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Sorry. Salt on the wound.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yeah.
My
Salt
bad.
in the wound. Thank you.
All the salt. But yeah, no, Pininfarina Design does some absolutely amazing things. So I'm really not surprised they've knocked it out of the park on this one. I think it's a really good looking little car.
And it's going to work great as an EV. If they bring it over here, I think it's modeling after a lot of what you see on the road nowadays anyways, with the Chevrolet Volts, with the Ford C-Max, with, as you said earlier, the Ioniq. That's another one.
5, yep.
They're all kind of following that same form and function of lots of cargo space, lots of space to live, lots of space to be humans, and not focusing on so much of the car aspect of things. Which honestly is the way to go with these, because they're appliance cars. They're not meant to be enthusiasts necessarily. They're commuters. They're dailies. Yeah,
I'm really sad, however, that one that was initially going to be a hybrid and was later proposed to be a battery EV probably isn't going to make it to market, the Toyota TJ Cruiser. But I'll encourage the audience to go look that one up themselves.
Yeah, if you're interested, there's a wealth of things out there on that sort of thing. Well, do we think we've wiped on this subject quite enough?
I think we need some time for the topic in the spotlight this week.
Absolutely. I want to talk about some hero cars. I want to talk about some fun stuff that we admire from the silver screen. So who's going to go first? Who wants to take it? All right, then I'll take it. I'm just gonna jump in there then. Let's see. I gave you a chance. You didn't take it. That's your own problem now.
I
So-
buzzed in a little bit too late. By all means, you're the host. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take it this time. You know what? For the first one, I'm going to go with a weird one. I'm not going to go with the one that's the most popular. I'm going to go with a little bit of a lesser known hero. This is something that I watched the movie of and admired quite a bit when I saw it. It was a fun movie to watch. It has a really fun actor in it. Oh my gosh, why am I now blanking on the man's name? I'm going to lose myself. In any case, it is the 1967 Lincoln Continental from Hit and Run. It's a four-door hardtop Lincoln that is very, very pretty. It's got some aftermarket wheels, as can be seen there. It's actually Dax Shepard. That's who I was trying to think of. Dax Shepard is the lead of the movie, also wrote the movie, and included his own car, of course. That is his personal car. At the time of filming, when this came out, he had already owned it for 15 years. And I saw a slight interview with him while they were talking about this car. One, it does some incredible stunts in the movie, and it actually is the car in the movie that is doing all the stunts. It looks good, it's fast, it's mean, it's loud. So they took out the original, I think these came with like a 427 cubic inch block originally. He replaced it with a 514 cubic inch Ford Racing block.
Ooh,
Yes.
FA stroker.
Yes, biggin. It has Willwood brakes front and rear. It actually has 2 calipers per wheel on the back. So what this does is he actually set up what is called a stunt brake. So he has the main brake that you normally hit in a car that controls all 4 brakes, that brakes all at once to slow you down and arrest you. There's 2 sets in the back where he can hit a separate pedal that only controls the brakes in the back so that he can do power slides and all kinds of fun things. As you can see, it does have the aftermarket rims. It's got coilovers. He's got a gear vendor's trans with overdrive in it and line lock.
Wild.
This thing is meant to be fun. And it looks damn good while doing it. So that is probably the first hero that I've got.
I've always loved that style of car. They have a certain presence to them.
Oh, absolutely. This is big, mean, beefy class.
I've loved that style of car since I was a kid because those were the biggest American cars we got. Not the Contis, but something in the same size class, the Fairlane and Galaxy.
Yeah, those are brothers. And it's just like that's a Galaxy with a fancy badge and some different bits at the front.
Yes. Well, the Conti is very different underneath, but yeah, the Galaxy and the Fairlane are very closely related, and they're the same platform, I believe. But yeah, that size class Ford for me was just always the coolest car for a very long time. Before I got into cars that were small and nimble, which is the total opposite.
Yeah, I mean, fancy, quick little buzzy nuggets have their place as much as the big road-going couches on wheels that these were. Of course, in the front, the back, it still has your classic bench, but the front 2 seats are dominated by actual racing seats with harnesses. So, yeah, Dax 100% made this thing, 1, first, to have fun, and 2, hey, I made a movie. I'm going to put my car in the movie. So, I can't blame him at all. It's a great thing. And also, if you look right here, where my mouse is kind of hovering.
Suicide doors.
It's got the front that open normal and the back that open reverse. So you got clamshell doors on that, which is just cool. Absolutely. Because it's not a modification. That's how Ford did it. So, with that being said, I like that car a lot. It's a super fun looking car. It's really big. It's really aggressive and mean looking. The next one is about as cuddly as a teddy bear because everybody freaking knows this. Everybody loves this. People have seen this car for ages. If I show a picture, most of you out there are going to start playing the siren in your head. And that is the Ecto 1. I adore this car. And for those aficionados amongst the crowd, you will notice that this is actually the second movie's livery because it has the caution stripes along the side as well as the big letterboards along the top. So it has a few more bits and gadgets than the original movie, but still, I mean, you cannot beat the styling of that thing. It is just so long and unwieldy. It shouldn't be useful for anything other than its original purpose of maybe an ambulance, but mostly a hearse. But
I mean, in the 50s, they were more or less the same thing. Your chances weren't all that great.
You're not too terribly wrong. It just depends on how much morphine they pumped into you.
Vitamin M.
Yeah. But I mean, just it also the story and the history of this car is also something that's just charmed me from the start. From initially watching the first movie, which, again, this is probably one of my favorite series. Like one of my favorite. I guess I can call it a trilogy at this point, but at least a duet of movies originally. And the first one where it was coming from nothing and he bought it in as an underdog and the thing didn't run and he was pulling out wires and under the hood with a cigarette at the time, which tells you something about when the movie was filmed, all the way to becoming an absolute classic icon that has stood the test of time and the years of movies that it's been through, cartoon shows. This has always been a central focal point of the Ghostbusters franchise, and I freaking adore it.
Found a interesting bit of trivia about Ghostbusters relatively recently. Slightly melancholy, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. One of the parts, although Dan Aykroyd in the interview wouldn't be drawn on which one, I'm honestly not sure, was actually written for John Belushi.
Well, that would have been a great match.
You know, I'm not sure if it wouldn't have sullied the movie a little bit, made more comparisons back to the Blues Brothers. But at the same time, John Belushi's style of comedy would have suited a slacker character in the movie, which we didn't really get pretty well.
Yeah, you kind of got the jester character, but you didn't really have a slacker, so to speak.
No, yeah. I'm pretty, like, let's be honest, it's pretty obvious which part was built for him, but that's not the point.
Yeah. Well, I may actually look. Yeah, that would have been a little bit too reminiscent of the Blues Brother. Yeah, the dynamic would have been there already, and they just would have drawn a direct conclusion. So, but with that being said, I mean, I can't speak enough about those two cars, and especially my second one. But let's move along to somebody else's heroes here, because I could sit here and gush about this stupid Cadillac for ages.
Well, I have a little bit of segue for one of mine, and with the Ecto one, I love how the prop designers decided, how do we make this thing look techie and futuristic? Let's just slap a bunch of crap on it.
Yeah, let's see. The original lights were, I think they had two originally down here near the grill. These two greens up front were original, but all this extra crap up here, all the extra canisters and the revolvers and the flashers, hoses, it's just like, yeah, let's just like go to a junkyard and see what we can find. Like throw some shit on there. Like you don't really need a hydraulic hose going from wherever that is up to a electric sign ?
Yeah, what? It's a hydraulic electric sign, apparently.
Apparently, though. Then again, I can't speak.
Those light bulbs.
Yeah, this is not a movie. This is not the movie car as well. At least it may not be. This was taken from a Meekum auction site, so I think it's a Loving Recreation. I don't know that it's an original. But moving right along.
My example of that same styling, where we're going, we don't need roads.
So I know which one I'm opening first. Are we doing a stock, or are we going full-on movie?
Oh, just go with the movie car first.
Oh, of course. What a lovely looking thing.
Slapping a bunch of lights and hoses and stuff on it to make it look high-tech.
That's true.
I do love the fact that they thought about what they were doing with the crap, though. Like, you've got that stainless steel banding.
All around the front.
Attached to what looks like a transformer on the end of high impedance wires.
It very much looks like something that a mad scientist put together in his garage.
Absolutely. It fits the part.
And I love the fact that they got offered $75,000 to make it a Mustang, which in '85, not an inconsiderate amount of money, and got laughed at. Laughed the Ford reps out of the office with Doc Brown doesn't drive a fucking Mustang.
Well, I mean, admittedly, a scientist probably doesn't. Like, if you think about a mad scientist today, they're probably not going to be driving a Mustang or an EV Mustang. They're going to be driving something quirky. They're going to be driving something weird and eccentric as they are. So the DMC, I think, fit that part very well.
Weird and quirky, but cheap.
Yes.
At the time they were.
Yes. Which I think there is actually a quote about it.
That one, as pictured, would have been the one from the first movie. If you look at the one with the rear view, which looks even more ridiculous.
Ah, yes.
That's got the Mr. Fusion.
Oh, man. We need that.
We really do. That would be
from
great.
The second movie.
I just want to throw some old beer cans and a banana peel and something else in there and be like, yep, good to go.
I need fuel. Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
also from the end of the first movie, of course.
Yes.
I love the number plate too, the barcode number plate, even though it's a pretty simple take on a barcode. It makes sense, like it reads correctly.
Yes, I think that is very much, it's meant to be like from the future where they went, because that's where I guess he was coming back from, so he must have gotten this thing registered in the future.
And the interior is what makes it for me.
Ah, yes.
It's hard to say no to, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, here, actually, I found the actual quote. And it was Marty saying, "Wait a minute, Doc, are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?" Doc Brown, of course, says, "The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?"
And then he gets interrupted by the time machine coming back and nearly running them over. I love that.
But yeah, especially, I mean, one, the interior, the flux capacitor, which you can see in our initial focal point of the entire thing and how it makes it all work, that Doc Brown famously fell in the bathroom and hit his head on the kitchen sink, or the sink there, and came up with. Just the different lights and switches and bits and bobs that the thing has inside of it has added on to its flair. But again, I can't argue with him, and I hate to take over your segment here, but yeah, if you're going to build something with style, you start with a good platform.
To answer a question that's appeared in chat, no, oil shouldn't be white. It could be that you have some condensation causing some emulsion if it's on the underside of your oil cap. If all of your oil is a milky white color, it's very likely that you've got water emulsified into it, either through coolant or through water just getting in, which does happen. Pour the oil out the sump. Check it there.
Okay, that was genuinely great advice, and I'm sure it might be just checking our chops and our abilities. That is actually one of my coworkers, so he is as much of a car nut as I. He just got done fighting a 2017 Chevrolet Silverado's brakes, which I know are famously.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. If you know, you know. So good on you. Props for doing it. Welcome to the actual first live. Yeah, moving on. Tam,
short answer, no.
Yeah.
Yes. Ideally not.
Ideally, yeah, if your oil's white, you got bigger problems than you know.
Unless it's cooking oil you were keeping in the fridge.
Very possible. I mean, you know.
Well, he didn't specify.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But yes, welcome.
But yeah, so that is the DeLorean DMC-12, which, interesting fact, someone bought up all the spares, and you can still order a brand new one of those built from leftover spares.
Yeah, not only did they buy the spares, I think they also bought the dies for it.
Yep.
So they're
get parts.
physically creating new parts for them, which is incredible. I mean, that's a huge undertaking.
I wouldn't mind a stage 3 one of the 200 horsepower jobs.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Well, the original one only made like 130 horsepower.
Yeah, they were pretty
Something
anemic.
like
In an extremely heavy car, so they were very poorly received.
Oh, they weren't super heavy, but it was heavy enough to really blunt the performance, especially with that PRV V6.
Yeah, it always did kind of confuse me.
Talking on EVs, look what DMC's up to now, and just imagine how if they made a new Back to the Future movie today, please don't. But just imagine.
Reboot!
No,
the new
don't
DeLorean.
Reboot. No.
Well, we can even have a cameo by I can't forget his name. Main character.
You could have a cameo from both Michael J. Fox and from Christopher Lloyd.
That's
both
true.
around.
They are still both kicking. Though Christopher Lloyd looks, I mean, he did not go back to the future. Time has not been kind to him too much, but thank goodness he is still around.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's
that
pretty
is
looking
cool.
It is a cool looking thing, and it still kept its traditional gull wings, which it's not a DeLorean without the gull wings.
I agree.
But they're pretty snazzy looking.
I really like the treatment they did with the headlights, the hidden second set of lamps.
Yes, it's again, it's a hark back to the original without being overly obnoxious about it. Like, what was it? Remind me here, guys. What am I thinking of?
There's a few. Which
Ready Player One car, basically.
Oh, yeah.
The Hyundai
I haven't
did
seen
it.
the movie, so I can't help with you.
It's the Hyundai.
Oh, you mean the N72?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and again, if I could have an N72, you bet your butt I would 100%. I would rock this. I don't care. I would be made fun of.
74, sorry.
74.
Oh yeah, same.
That's actually pretty close to the original design that Giorgetto Gugliaro penned for them.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they compared it to a DeLorean there, but no, I mean they do
the
look.
resemblance is there.
The resemblance is certainly there. It's undeniable, as they seem to point out. So, oh no, that's the original there. Kind of a little bit of
But I'm
headlight
not
comparison.
mad at it.
No, again, I like the styling of it. It's very. It's just mean. It's very cyberpunk, we'll say.
But yeah, they did some amazing stuff. They've done some amazing stuff, I should say. But
For sure.
yeah, the original. This was the original pony. I'll just send it to you now. That was a concept penned for Hyundai way back in the day by Gugliaro.
Hold on, let me skip through. Oh yeah,
That is
Yes.
interesting looking.
it's a thing.
Well, you got to
But
consider
it's a
it was meant to
wedge.
be-
In
Yeah,
the day and
it was
age,
a 1974 economy sports design, which I think was pretty advanced for the time.
I would say so.
Yeah, little bit of Honda Civic CRX going on in the back.
About 10 years before the CRX.
Yeah, they were even doing that back window by the taillights before the Prius was by a long, long time.
Yes. But anyway,
And sorry to everyone at home, we're not looking at the same picture you are.
I'll
Yeah.
stop derailing.
Yeah, we should probably zip on over towards hero card number 2 for you, Tam.
Yes.
Yes, a car that again was made techie by sticking a bunch of crap on it, but a little more subtle from the outside. Who can forget that
that scanning
that famous
Cylon eye.
swooshing? Yes.
Man.
I included a link to the opening theme, but we can skip that for the sake of time.
I do love the turbo button gif. The one specifically where he launches into a building and then punches a dude.
But it's the interior of the Night Industries 2000 that, oh my god.
Yeah, there's just stuff on stuff there.
Yep, but it sure does look high tech on TV.
I love that the yoke was about as thought through an implementation as it was on the Model S, which is to say it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Here's a normal steering wheel. Now cut off like 80% of it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But according to the Wikipedia page for the kit, these were the specs that they were trying to sell the audience on. It was a turbojet engine with modified afterburners and an 8-speed turbo drive transmission, helping it to go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, with a standing quarter mile of 4.2.
So like a turbo prop, turbo jet hybrid.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
But the more staggering one is the alleged performance of the electromagnetic hyper vacuum disc brakes with a 14-foot stopping distance from 70 at 11.7 Gs.
So in other words, you stop from 100 mile an hour and you get turned into goo.
Yeah, basically.
I have heard less made up words named in a Star Trek segment. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just throw a whole bunch of tech terms at this, and it sounds about right.
Yeah, it was one of those.
This is the 80s. This is the age of A-Team.
What's kind of fun is you could actually put an 8-speed transmission into a kit car now.
Yeah, 100% you could.
Cheaply.
Oh, sure. The ZF8.
Yeah, exactly. It'd even be good.
Excellent, in fact. But yeah, that was the age of television shows where it's like, we need the car to do this. Okay, it's canon now. It can do that.
It's
never been mentioned before or since.
Flying. Yep. For this episode, Kit needs to do this. It's never done that before. Well, make it.
It'll never do it. It'll never be brought up again, even when it would be really useful.
I love the fact that we still have the cutouts for the pop-up headlights, but we have a full set of 3 range down here.
Yeah, we don't use them. Ignore those.
And I mean, but from humble beginnings, though.
It's really funny because they could have used those pop-ups as like an excuse to have jet intake scoops or something.
Or missiles or machine guns or any number of other goofy gadget just pop out of there at will.
Would have been ideal.
I'm fairly sure they probably did at some point.
They might have.
I haven't seen it. I actually used to watch this after school.
I never did see it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that on TV as a kid, and that theme song. Every time I see one of those cars on the road, it plays in my head.
You got 3rd gen fever, boy.
A little bit.
Admittedly, not the worst place to be.
We need to get you a mullet.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I mean, give it enough time. I know your hair. You could probably grow it.
No.
Ah, come on. It'd be fun.
All right.
Well,
before this goes too much further off the rails, Kaji, what have you brought for us?
Hey, don't say off the rails and refer to me. That's bad luck.
That's not terribly wrong. Well, let me start pulling up this stuff.
I have 2, one of which was actually a group of cars.
Yes.
From a movie. That movie was a big impact on me. The first time I saw it, I was jammed into the back of a couch trying to escape from absolutely enormous speakers. but it forever left a bit of an impression and kind of made me a sucker for circle racing of all things. Now, I grew up in a land of circuit racing. Super sedans, V8 supercars, or as they were known at the time, ATCC touring cars. A lot of which many foreign people are familiar with, that being, Bathurst Circuit, Mount Panorama,
Bathurst.
Oran Park Circuit, Wakefield Park Circuit, Albert Park Lake Circuit, the current GP circuit. But this kind of got me obsessed with, of all things, NASCARs. The hero cars from the movie Days of Thunder, which were oddly enough all Chevrolet Lumina NASCARs of the Jericho era.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming in backwards.
Yeah. The accelerator's come up, but the transmission's screwed. I'm coming in. Yeah, comes into pits backwards. My favorite bit of that movie would have to be the little section of him stuffing up at all the races with Gimme Some Lovin' as a soundtrack, though. Culminating
that was a popular
in
song in movies back then.
It was. It really was. It was probably cheap to license.
That's probably a good case.
Yeah. But yeah, whether it's the City Chevrolet livery or the Mellow Yellow, which he did when he was privateering for Rowdy Burns later on in the movie, just these cars just left a big impact on me, and I could not tell you why. They were really popular as models as well, if you'll grab that last one for me. And the amount of effort that goes into modeling stuff like this for RC, but you see this paint job on so many RC cars, so I can't be alone. Just a really iconic paint job despite never really existing. And yeah, like just the performance illustrated in the movie, which was all pretty much within realistic NASCAR parameters, apart from the fact that his car was much faster than everyone else's. Yeah, just a really fun time, and kind of got me more interested in race cars than I might have been, because I've been to a lot of race events before this, but it never really stuck. And then I saw this and I wanted to go to a racetrack, so we went to the Thunderdome, which was the only super speedway in Australia at the time, and remains the only one to this day, although it's disused these days. And yeah, watched some NASCARs and some Oscars.
I'm fascinated looking at that picture on screen right now, looking at the sponsorship logos, at how few of those companies have changed their logo at.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Adal Brock's the
much.
same, Mac Tool's the same, Goodyear's the same,
Autometer.
Winston,
Mood.
when you could still advertise cigarette companies and tobacco companies on NASCAR events.
Yeah.
At that time, all
76,
cars were
Hearst.
required to wear that sticker. That's the Winston Cup logo sticker.
Okay. Well, also, I mean, there's also Bush, which is another series, the Bush series, but also a beer.
I
which
don't
is-
think it's called that anymore.
The Bush series still is, but the
It's still,
Winston Cup sure isn't.
yeah, I don't even know what it is now.
Oh wait, no, the Bush Cup, the Bush isn't anymore. I think it's the Nextel. Anyway, it's irrelevant. Big company by brand name.
Yeah.
Spend money by name.
Yep. That's how you keep those things running.
Oh yes. Any possibility of running the clip?
I can certainly make that happen. Give me just a second here and scroll up to where that's at. I'm just sitting here and vamping right now because it's way
Because
up
it
there
was-
on the line.
It
Here
was
we go.
this little chunk of the movie that bit me, and it's right at the start.
Copy that link, make sure I'm on the right account. And we are
No way.
go. Y'all won't be able to hear it, but
Just a beautiful shot cutting of it, and then this bit.
Under Rowdy's time.
So you get a straight up the underdog is good moment right at the start. And there's your anti-hero. And look at this shot. Look at this.
oh,
Can't argue with
beautiful.
Yeah, that sold me on that movie straight up.
Yeah?
31 flat. That's good enough to take the pole in the last race here.
That'll do
Yeah,
it.
I thought this was gonna be a joke. You never drove a stock car before?
Yeah, sprints mainly. What's your name?
Buck Brotherton, what's yours?
Cole Trickle. It's damn nice to meet you, Buck.
Damn nice to meet you too, Cole.
You unlucky son of a bitch in that tunnel turn, because that car was way out of shape.
Well, you think it was luck? Let's do it again. You run
And then you get the reality of NASCAR racing.
Get your own car. We'll see how you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you can cut that now. That's enough. But
So,
yeah,
I mean,
the,
in watching that, I hate to say a little bit, but most of my experience, I have not watched Days of Thunder extensively. I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but every time I see NASCAR, I can unfortunately only think of one movie that really personified a lot of NASCAR for me, and it's the
Yeah.
later age of NASCAR, and that would be The Ballad of Ricky Bobby or Talladega Nights.
yeah.
And this sticker sure is unsafe and inconvenient, but I do love me some Fig Newtons.
Yeah. And specifically praying only to baby Jesus.
No, just the baby Jesus. But no, absolutely. I mean, I know it's an iconic movie because this is not the first, and nor will it be the last time I've heard of it. So,
Yes. Now, I'd like to do my runner-up first, if I may, before we go deep into my second pick.
okay.
Yep.
Let
Now,
me scroll down.
I'm going to admit to a little bit of bias here, and I do apologize.
Only a little.
Just a touch.
Just a smidge.
Just a little bit of bias. But I actually saw this a long time ago. It's also in the first Gone in 60 Seconds movie.
Beautiful.
And I have been a big fan of the fuselage body Mustangs for a very long time. Just that swept front end, not pinched like the 1970 cars. That big rear end, which you can flip over to the next photo if you like.
You mean that one?
Which is mine.
Your
so when I
Mark
got
1?
the chance to my Mark 1. So when I got the chance to buy one, I couldn't say no. It was just
It's even got the louvers on the rear window, and those.
So you know it's a race car.
that particular set of louvers is coming off because they're damaged. I actually had to cut them so that I could open the boot. But I'll be buying a new set of aluminium louvers for it. Yes, because they are an original accessory and they look good.
They do.
But yeah, the Mark 1 Mustang, definitely my runner-up because, I love them. I love the 71 through 73 Mark 1s. People call them the Fat Stangs, and well, they're right, but I don't care.
You know what? It's not a Mustang 2, so you're fine.
I actually like the Mustang too, so I'll avoid that question.
It's a controversial subject. We'll put it that way.
All right, now my next hero car is a bit of a villain.
Oh, ominous.
Oh yes, Christine. The car that stole a teenage boy's heart and then corrupted his soul. And it was just the fact that the car had a mind of its own, but just this era of 1950s cars, specifically not the Tri-5s, but everyone else who were going for really interesting styling cues. And I think the Furies just look fantastic. Plus, you've got that Hemi under the bonnet with the double carburetors. I mean, come on.
It is a very classy looking thing.
Absolutely. And these were these were considered a cheap sports car at the time. You know, the top of the Plymouth line. But a Plymouth. Not a Chrysler, not a Dodge, a Plymouth. Your cheap car.
Yeah, it's kind of the entry level. It's not quite a working man's vehicle, but it's something a little bit nicer.
Yeah. Just a touch up from a working man's sort of a car. The single working man, if you will.
Yeah.
Grab the next one for me.
Next.
And yeah, just those big fins, that rear tail treatment and the rear bar and the interior on those cars, just a wonderful thing. Grab the next one for me. And the fact that she fixed herself. Arnie was working hard on her, but the hard work was done by the car.
Which, man, if that
Isn't that
just
the
couldn't
dream?
be what happens to most of the cars that I ever got, just if it could kind of, you know what, I don't care if you're haunted, just fix yourself a little bit for a frickin' change. That'd be great.
But yeah, the car that loves you back so much that it fixes itself for you. And if you want to play the clip, we can see a little bit of that.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Let me copy a link.
Walks around to the front. Air cleaners have fixed themselves, so he walks a little distance out the front of the car. And that Carpenter's score, you can't go wrong, can you?
Oh,
Okay. Show me.
Be sucked in the beam. Yeah.
Now I'm trying to remember those little fins on the front fenders. Was that the one that was also an indicator that the driver could see?
Yeah, I think they're indicator repeaters from memory.
yeah, a lot of makes and models did that back in the day, which was such a cool thing.
It
Even
is
my
a really
dad
cool
did it.
feature.
Yeah. They stayed on the darts until the mid-70s.
Man, gosh, I think
So
they
even
stayed
my
on
dad's got
Cadillacs
those.
well into the 80s.
Yeah, they did. And I like the triple indicators that you could get on the Cadillacs of the mid-70s.
Yeah, so you could show lights, high beams, and turns.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Christine, like, it's a villain car, and sure enough, it's evil, but
You can't
want her,
help but
don't lie
love
to
it.
yourself.
I'd be corrupted by that.
Oh, yeah. And just the fact that it simultaneously it captures something about the car hobby, the fact that it can possess you.
It can, yeah, it can absolutely can suck you in. It's something that can become a session so fast,
Absolutely.
like a Mach 1.
On the other side of the planet.
Yeah, huh.
Yes, yes. Oh boy. But yeah,
Or
that's
like
my,
the
that's my pair of movie
Toyota
cars.
that I'm still freaking chasing today. That's very
Or
good.
the WRX on the other side of the planet, looking at you, Fox.
Yeah, huh.
Hello.
So it's now,
All right.
I guess, kind of starting to wind down. We've all had our hero cars. We've all talked about the things that we've found in movies that we've loved. We found the bits of media that have inspired us and that have drawn us further into the car culture that we so loathe and enjoy simultaneously at times. So we'll kind of do a little bit of wrap up here and do our thanks. If anybody has any questions, comments, or anything else they'd like to add, if you'd like to tell us about your own hero car or villain car that you absolutely adore, now would be the time to throw that in chat, and we'll discuss it before we go. But just as we're going out, we do our typical thank yous and things of that nature. So first and foremost, let me bring them up because they are awesome and they always do right by us as far as making sure that we've got the tunes that we want to hear. If I can find the search bar. Our music today, everything that you've heard in the background, everything that you hear going on, is all brought to you by the wonderful Walking Dog Music. These are copyright free, DMCA free. This means that you can use them in your coffee shop, on your streams, wherever you want to listen to them. It's great lo-fi. They have several different albums out there now with all kinds of differing themes. It's good stuff. We have it playing in the house almost constantly because check that out. They have recently gotten a 24/7 channel that is always running. So do check them out. Next up beyond that, again, more scrolling from me because I'm wonderfully organized and I know exactly what I'm doing, and we're professionals here, so don't you dare question me. I'm sitting here and vamping some more because I'm looking for a particular image that I just... Our background today that you saw was brought to you by Yagoda, which was Tamarack. That is one of your contacts.
Yes. made it for us the day of our first broadcast.
Which is great
And for
and
a-
is
And
wonderfully
for a very
designed.
reasonable price.
Reasonable price, wonderfully designed. I really, really do like the style of it. It matches and blends in very well. That's whatever you see in our splash screen whenever we're talking, and that is the background. That is what they did for us. So absolutely go and check them out. Let's see if we've got anything in chat. No, we have nothing.
No, nothing.
Which is
How about the mailbag? No, empty.
yes, which is fine. You know what? Frankly, no matter whether you're just sitting here and watching us in the background, if we're just noise for you, or if we're something kind of interesting to cling on to and you like to lurk, or if you're watching us on YouTube, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, thank you for being here. Thank you for entertaining us. We're just here, three car nerds, going on about the things we like to do.
Which we like to do.
But we would also love you to join us.
Yeah, I mean, who can't use more friends, especially more nerdy friends like we need.
Absolutely. So feel free to leave us a comment on YouTube if you happen to be watching a bit in the future, so that we know that you're around and we can mention things that we see.
Absolutely.
And click the stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
If you're on YouTube, go
you know
ahead, ring the bell if you want to know when new episodes are coming out. Go ahead and give us a like if you found out what you were looking at was kind of fun. Go ahead and follow us if you want to see more of the fun.
And come yell at us on Discord.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Everywhere you want to find us, we are the 710cast. THE710CAST. That is Twitter. That is Discord. That is Twitch, that is YouTube, that is everywhere that you want to find us. That is where we will be. So,
Another silky smooth outro.
yeah, I know
We
we were
always
just
nail the landing on those.
freaking super polished, man. There's no rough runways here. What are you talking about? Get out. But with that being said,
I've
Just
seen
roll out
some
a
bad
solid.
landings before.
as the Arrow Fox, you would know. But with that all being said, thank you again for joining us, wherever you are joining us. It has been a really, really fun time. We hope to see you around. We hope that you have no stripped bolts in your future. And may the car gods bless you with good economy and no starting issues tomorrow morning when you're stepping outside. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Have fun. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Good night.